All right, welcome back. You're watching Wake Up Sierra Leone here on the Africa Young Voices. You're also listening to us this morning on radio on 101.7 frequency modulation. Now, in this first segment, we are going to discuss the views of members of Parliament on the appointment of Chief Electoral Officer Edmund Alpha. And also this morning we'll be discussing the past, the present, and the future of satellite broadcasting in Sierra Leone, digital communication, specifically DSTV, Saloon Box versus the Nigerian box, and what's the country's losing, economically, among other things. Do not forget to be a part of the program. You can always go to our Facebook page and joining on the conversation. However, do it decently. As you know, we are in the fasting season now. And so, let's delve right into it. In this first segment, we're joined by parliamentarians this morning to discuss the appointment of the Chief Electoral Commissioner, Edmund Alpha, who on paper, it is said that 12 out of the 14 political parties we have in Sierra Leone have endorsed his appointment. Now in the studio we're joined by Honorable Tawa Conte. Honorable Tawa is the Deputy Speaker of the House of Parliament, and he's flanked by Honorable Abdul Karim Kamara, who is a Chief Whip in the same Parliament for the main opposition All People's Congress Party. Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure having you. I'll begin with the Honorable Tawa. Yesterday hearings began. You had actually interviewed the candidates. What's the status?
Well, normally when appointments are made by His Excellency the President, once he has his powers in the Constitution, whether it's Section 71, as the case may be, whether he wants to constitute an office or is appointing persons or individual into tenure office or into vacant positions, the appointments, depending on the structure, is provided for by the Constitution. And in this case, for the Chief Electoral Commissioner, President is required to firstly consult leaders of all registered political parties as provided for Section 32(3) of the 1991 Constitution. So following that consultation, which is not clearly defined in the Constitution, and which further states or stipulated in the 1991 Constitution in Section 171(14) that the issue of consultation is, however, almost redundant, because in 171(14) it says that any person or authority in whom powers are conferred to this constitution to consult, the person is not bound by the outcome of the consultation. But however, the president, trying to elevate the conversation or discuss around consultation, sent out letters to all political parties, because the issue of consultation, Sierra Leoneans recall, has been a very thorny issue, particularly when it comes to the appointment of whether the Chief Electoral Commissioner, whether commissioners of the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, be it under this dispensation or under President Kuruma or under President Kaba. It has been a very thorny issue because there is no clear definition as to what form or...
And we would like to apologize, Honorable. It appears as though your mic is having some serious problems. I would like to fix it and come back to you. Let's take a quick break, please. All right, we'd like to, gravely apologize for that break in our, transmission this morning. We apologize indeed, and we're trying to fix or rectify things that you do not continue to suffer from sound deficiency. We'll go back to Honorable Tawa, who is the Deputy Speaker of Parliament. He was making a case, legitimizing the appointment of Edmund Alpha, who had been proposed as Chief Electoral Commissioner of the ECSL Sierra Leone. Honorable, please. If you would, please, kindly just paraphrase.
The appointment of the Chief Electoral Commissioner by the President meets the requirement in the Electoral Constitution, current extant core norm of Sierra Leone. And the President, in doing so, take into consideration the provision of consultation, which I have stated earlier is not clearly defined in the Constitution, and which also fall way to one of the clawback clauses in the Constitution, Section 171. notifying them and drawing their attention to the fact that it has pleased him to consider for appointment Edmund Sylvester Alpha as the chairman for the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. And following those letters that were sent out, feedbacks from what I heard and from what I've seen on social media myself, feedbacks were received from all political parties. I was told that one political party even interviewed the candidates before confirming their suitability for the position. So equally, the main opposition, All People's Congress, also sent in their own reply to the consultation letter stating the reasons why they are not satisfied with the appointment of Edmund Alpha as the chairman for the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone.
Do you see those reasons as valid in your estimation?
Well, those reasons are reasons that every other political party has put forward before, depending on where you stand. So when Christian Athorpe was reappointed after 2007, even though the SLPP claimed the election was disputed, the announcement was procedural as part of the claims that were put forward by us, the SLPP. It was also a disputed issue when Dr. Christian Athorpe was reappointed as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. So depending on where you stand, and depending on what position you occupy at a particular point in time, you would state almost carbon copy of the same reasons that, okay, this person has taken part in an election or he has supervised an election wherein election results were tabulated or were still coming in and the election were announced by him or by or a presented result that were announced, depending on where you are. So the president, in line with the constitution, followed all the process, all the procedures, and then the appointment was finally put out. So as provided for by section 93, there is a committee, part of the standing committee in section 93(1) that is called the Committee of Appointment and Public Service. So that committee in Parliament is responsible for interviewing persons that are appointed by the president for positions of trust and responsibility, be it minister, be it head of parastatal, as the case may be. So the committee, having received the confirmation that yes, indeed, His Excellency has appointed Edmund Alpha and a number of other persons who were appointed prior to his own letter, the committee put out a notice informing its membership. So the membership of the committee is made up of APC, SLPP, and Paramount Chiefs Member of Parliament. And there is no rule that says that the committee, that is the Public Service Committee, when they are conducting any interview, it has to be a blend of both parties. It is ideal, it's an ideal situation that both parties should sit and interview the candidate, but there is no hard and fast rule that if this person doesn't come, the committee does not do its work. So the committee put out a notice to its members and they notify their membership that an interview will be conducted yesterday, and the interview was conducted for the Chief Electoral Commissioner and other persons that were appointed.
You don't see anything wrong with the fact that the other party was absent?
Like I said, it's like Section 89 of the Constitution. When the Constitution stipulates quorum of Parliament, the Constitution did not say a quorum should be a composition of multiple parties. It said a quorum should be 1/4 of the members of Parliament. So 89 is like the precursor to the standing order when it comes to composition and constitution of committees and the work of committees. It does not state exactly whether it has to be a multi-party, inclusive committee, whether it's the appointment committee or the committee, the public accounts committee or transparency committee or the committee on water resources, as the case may be. Hence, you have members of Parliament present, and they are members of the committee, and they can form a quorum. Then their work is valid.
Honorable AKK, I mean, the Deputy Speaker said that the APC had opposed the candidacy, of Mr. Alpha. I mean, from the horse's mouth, what are these disputations?
Let me pick it up from where it stopped, and I want to say this to Sierra Leoneans. If there is any time for us to speak up as a nation, I think the time is now. Do we continue doing the very things we say they were wrong yesterday because it suits us today? It makes no good history. he has laid a very fine platform for which, by his own very conscience, he speaks to the fact that it was wrong. He speaks to the fact that it is wrong. And as young leaders as
you
we
didn't
are,
use those words exactly.
of course, let me just speak to this, please.
Okay.
The first thing is, do we have a problem as a nation? Yes, there is a problem. Does it start yesterday? No. Does it start after the 2023 elections? No. It started way before the 2023 elections. He stated it clearly that after the 2007 elections, the SLPP cried foul. Why? The same thing. The issue of consultation, the issue of the Electoral Commissioner being appointed by the president has always been a bottleneck. Has other countries seen the same? Yes.
But his foundation is that the elections were disputed, even though, you know...
No, it's not just the elections. It's not just the elections being disputed.
Okay.
The dispute is around the issue of consultation, as he stated. The issue has been around the issue of appointment by the president, as he has stated. And
but it's constitutional, isn't it?
Let me just...
No, go ahead. I'm just trying to
I am
fix
not
the
saying,
context. Okay.
The truth is, this same constitution we are quoting, we've all agreed as a union. Devolve of where you are, whether you're a journalist, whether you're a market woman, whether you're a politician on the APC side or the SLPP, the UDM, we've all agreed we have challenges with this constitution. Yeah. With all due respect to those who were part of that parliament that made this constitution, there are challenges. Yeah. But because there are challenges, we've all agreed that the issue of consultation, firstly, the constituency we should consult. The same constituency the president is not tied to the outcome of the consultation. That is a problem in itself. Are we finding a way to solve it? Yes. Have we come to a table to agree on what to do? Yes. Okay. And that is where I see, when people speak of the tripartite and think the tripartite is just a deliberation of the 2020 election, no. It was a force meeting we had as political party, the two major political parties, to discuss all the issues affecting the runs of elections. And one of the things that came clear is the appointment of the Electoral Commissioner by the president is one all of us cried and said, no, it's not a best practice around the world anymore. We also came to the conclusion that in most countries, you know, when we make laws, most times, he knows it as a deputy speaker, that we look at best practice around the world. Most times we benchmark Uganda, we benchmark Ghana, we benchmark Kenya, and in all of these countries, it is crystal clear that this situation of the president appointing the Electoral Commissioner with a consultation that is not well defined, that is not well meaning, that has a tendency of just giving an advantage to whosoever is in the ruling bench. It's no more a practice, you know, across the world.
The Secretary General now of the main party, I mean the ruling party, SLPP, I mean Malpa and Tawa, I just said, I mean a few days ago or so, that he doesn't believe in this tripartite stuff, you know, that the thing excludes all other parties, so it doesn't make much sense to him. That's what he said on Liberty Online.
I wish you would have not asked this question.
Okay.
Because
why?
My response will trigger many other public debates. The truth is, this brings us to the words of saying, how sincere was the SLPP? How sincere are they in maintaining the peace of this country? How sincere are they in maintaining the very fabric we call a nation? The tripartite was not a merry-making show. It was an agreement born out of the agreement of national unity, in which we all agreed there was something wrong in the immediate elections. We all agreed there were things wrong in the past elections, and therefore we said, as a political class, can we come to the table and sit and discuss it? And guess what? If he say he doesn't believe in the tripartite, he's also saying he doesn't believe in the judgment of the president. He's also doubting the intelligence of the people appointed by the president into that committee.
Oh, you're speaking for himself, though. He made that disclaimer.
No, what he said was directly an affront on the integrity of the president, the intelligence of the president, and the people around the president who also help him. You understand? This was not just the president appointed the chief minister now to be there. We had a situation of having international partners coming there. So as a secretary general of a party, when you speak sometimes, you must also know you're speaking not just as an individual, but you speak the mind of the very institution you represent. And you are the party in governance. How can you deceive yourself and intend to deceive a whole nation who would believe that the whole current political atmosphere is built around this agreement of national unity and the tripartite, only for you to come out at this material time and say, oh no, I don't think it was necessary? Are you saying the president was making a mistake? You know, sometimes I have said this, when people speak from the SLPP angle, they must understand that they are not in opposition. They are walking into opposition, but they must understand now they are in governance. Responsibility in what you say is important. Let me end with what the deputy speaker was saying. At least he was speaking in a bit matured manner. What we were saying is there is a problem as a nation, and because there is a problem as a nation, we need to fix it. We have an opportunity as young men today. We've cried before, we're crying now, and because there is a problem, it behoves us to look at the problem and not to look at our advantage. If we believe, because today we're in position of trust, we're in position of advantage, we want to do what suits us, we're also just creating situations that those before us did not address, and we must do better. And we're not saying the president does not have the powers in the 1991 constitution. We're saying we've identified the problem. We've come to a position where we all say, okay, this is the problem. We've come to a situation where we have a draft before us as parliament. Why are we in a haste? Has anybody stopped Admon Alpha from acting as the acting commissioner? Nobody has stopped him. He has held many paramount chiefs elections. The work of ECSL is going on. Why the haste? Why the rush? Why can't we wait to have the law being fixed?
Okay, Honorable, the All People's Congress Party, listening to you speak, you clearly have issues with the president's appointment of Edmond Alpha, to be specific, as the chief electoral commissioner. And you also have issues with the consultations, whatever the processes the president used in reaching his decision. What other method, what prescribed method would the All People's Congress prefer the president to use before reaching this decision? Okay.
Firstly, I think I will have gone through my thoughts before the issue of the Secretary General of the SLPP that makes no sense to me was mentioned. The first thing is, we agreed, both parties agreed in the tripartite. And the tripartite is not an APC document. What we agreed, both parties, is what came out as the 80 recommendations. What we brought forward as a party that was not agreed was put aside. You understand? So everything that was part of the 80 recommendation is what we agreed. We all agreed that because in the past it has affected the APC and it has affected the SLPP, now we're going to fix the problem. How do we fix the problem? We need a search committee. And in that document, a search committee was discussed.
In the tripartite recommendations.
Yes. Yeah. It was not just discussed. We had a framework in which we also mimic other institutions, other countries, to ensure we have a kind of search committees. And these search committees should be appointed by the institutions they represent. Where is the problem? What was brought to us in Parliament is a situation in which, instead of institutions sending reps, now they were recommending that the president choose among institutions. Let me give you an example. You're a journalist, you belong to the Bar Association. But in this draft they brought to us, they said the president can appoint any journalist with total disregard for institutions like the Bar Association. Let's say worst case, you say WIMSAL, because you need a gender kind of thing in the whole thing. You say the president can appoint any legal person, disregarding the Bar Association or any other institution that works within the legal framework. So we said earlier that no, this was not the spirit of this the consultation through the tripartite. This was not the spirit of the tripartite. Therefore, we are saying we are not expecting much, but we are saying the things we agreed upon as a nation. Mind you, the 2028 election was the main mirror that we were looking at when we were both in the room. So therefore, it is important to note that if we had agreed we are going to have a shared committee for sincerity of purpose, I am not saying we're going to reach a level in this country again in the not too distant future where we have political challenges and political upheavals. But if it happens, both parties or any other party must have the confidence to come again to say, okay, let's discuss the issues. But if the SLPP at this point are backpedaling, are making statements that seems as if they are jeopardizing the unwon peace of this nation, then it's worrisome.
What do you think, in your own words, why do you think the SLPP are in a rush to appoint Edmond Alpha as the new Chief Electoral Commissioner?
I wish they would speak for themselves, because what I think might not be what they think.
They may not consider it a rush, but you do consider it a rush.
Because the election is in 2028. There is no major activity now that within the next 2 months that the ECSL will be undertaken. And the law is before us. We need to amend the laws. We are amending the constitution. The fact that government even accept to even discuss 32 of the constitution means there is a problem with it. And the fact that it is before us as parliament means there is a challenge to that part of the law. Why can't we wait and go through the process?
Okay, I'll be back with you, Honorable. Deputy Speaker, don't you think the All People's Congress do have a legit reason to be concerned, owing to the fact that this same Edmond Alpha was the commissioner that presided over, was it a by-elections in Kabbalah, wherein allegedly 49 was changed to 149, and regardless of the fact that National Elections Watch advised for that result not to be announced as it was in favor of the SLPP candidate, the commissioner then, who was Edmond Alpha, still went ahead and announced in favor of the SLPP candidate, and that result stood. Don't you think the APC should be worried?
I think everybody should be at a point where we have seen someone that is being appointed for the first time into a position like that both parties have their history with him. I would pose the same question to you. Don't you think the SLPP should be worried that it was Edmond Alpha, who was the district election officer, who replaced his commissioner, Nyale, were to empanel the ECSL at the time of the announcement of the 2007 election? So he has shown patriotism, that he has put his work above every other thing. No other interest is more akin to him than his national interest. Because for him to have come, sat there at the British Council when the SLPP was in power, when he was the district election officer, but because he believed that the commission should be empaneled properly to announce the results, the voice and views of Sierra Leoneans, I think you should credit him for that.
Well, that's nothing compared to what actually happened with the Kabbalah by-elections, because
it is still allegedly.
Honorable, no, wait a minute. New National Elections Watch ensured that they aired it. They made the analysis of that particular elections, and they were clear and they were sure about what they were saying. We have the videos, it's all over, that the SLPP candidate actually scored 49. But when it was entered, eventually, 100, they just added 1 to the 49 to make it 149. Apparently, the All People's Congress candidate was leading. He had 100. But making the 49 to 149 automatically means the SLPP person would lead. What happened was, New warned the Electoral Commission. It was all over the media. It's still in the media. I do have it in my phone, that video, wherein New advised for that result not to be announced. But then Edmond Alpha was the commissioner. I don't know if Honorable here is aware of what I'm saying, but Edmond Alpha was the commissioner, and he went ahead and read and announced the SLPP person as the winner. Should we be worried that in an event wherein there's a deadlock between the SLPP and the APC, should Edmond Alpha be approved as the Chief Electoral Commissioner eventually? Should Sierra Leoneans be worried that would have a repeat of that same scenario?
I will still come to the point I was making, that whatever you've said is still within the bracket of allegedly. One. Secondly, if I could recall vividly, I remember the ECSL, then I think it was led by Kone, they conducted an investigation and they came out with a plausible explanation. In their words, I am not saying my own word. I am saying exactly what was put out in public. They came out with a plausible explanation. They came to the studio and they were all over and they explained exactly what happened with regards the misrepresentation by New and the fact that what was put out in public was not the conclusive final position. I am not saying whatever you're saying is wrong. It's still within the bracket of allegedly. But equally, I've heard a lot of things about why the rush. You see, there is no vacuum in electoral cycle. The electoral cycle does not start in 2028. The electoral cycle for the next election starts on the day the election of that particular cycle is announced. Then the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone starts preparation for whatever elections that will come thereafter. And for a national election, there are a lot of things that go into the process of preparation. It's like you being called a member of parliament. People only address you as honorable when you're sworn in, when you subscribe the oath. But the process leading to you becoming a member of parliament starts from the day your successor or your predecessor is announced. Because on that day, you begin to canvass the people. You begin to go around. You start the process of lobbying, getting into the party's hierarchy, trying to get yourself at the forefront. So it's a process. And for you to lead that process, let's not forget there are international standards with labor. Thank God he has been part of a labor committee for a very long time. Even in Sierra Leone, the labor law says if you ask in a particular position for 6 months, you are equivalent to not only the opportunities and facilities in that office, but your position becomes tenable. You should be the substantive. Yes, and he has been there for 6 months. And the president, looking at the fact that election disputes, I tell you, there have been commissioners that were appointed like a year to the election. That is also a point of dispute. That's why are you appointing a commissioner now very close to the election? Now a commissioner has been appointed 2 years to an election. It's also an issue. It's rush. So for me, it's about understanding the context of 32.3. 32.3 is not a clause that has been revised today. In the Peter Tucker Constitutional Review Commission, you know, President Koma is a lucky president. He has been the only president that has received 2 constitutional review documents. The Peter Tucker constitutional review document was handed over to him, and he looked at it and said, okay, you know what? To give further justification, further authority to this document, let me also set the constitutional review committee led by Justice Kawan with 80 eminent Sierra Leoneans. And that committee also came with a report. And in that report, something stood out. The submission of the SLPP during those periods, during the work of that committee, stipulate exactly that a multi-party selection committee should be set up to replace section 32.3. And it was presented to the commission having, even in their report, they say having gone through all of the recommendations they received, they believe that section 32.3 of the 1991 constitution should be retained. And they submitted that recommendation to government. And the government, under the revered Attorney General, believed that yes, it is the right thing to do to retain section 32.3. And the government accepted that recommendation. So the point of saying, because of our issues, that is why the tripartite recommended a multifaceted committee benchmarking best practice in Kenya or in Uganda. Also, let's not forget that the TOR for the CRC given to them by President Koma was to also benchmark best practice or best practices in other countries and come out with resolutions. And one of the resolutions that came out clearly as part of the CRC recommendation was to amend section 74.1. That is to say, and this has been a recommendation from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the Peter Tucker Constitutional Review, the Justice Kawan, that Sierra Leone moved from a first past the post disputed system to a proportional representation. And this is an international benchmarking that was done. So it is not about cherry picking what is good for you today and what is not suitable tomorrow. It's about us coming together, like he said, holistically and look at things that would work for this country. But the president exercising the power, let's not forget. You see, when Kelsin says the GRONOM, it means it is the constitution of all other laws and statutes put together that forms the GRONOM. So no other document, no other law supersedes the GRONOM. And the GRONOM is the guide for the president, and the president has acted in line with the 1991 constitution.
You know, Alima had pointed out something which is an allegation, past transgression, or whatever you call it. Let me draw our attention to the EU's final report, you know, the electoral report they submitted in 2023. They found out results tabulation lacked transparency, their words, and statistical discrepancies between batches of presidential results raised serious concerns. I quote, an independent and credible parallel vote tabulation done by a citizens observer group, National Elections Watch New, pointed out statistical inconsistencies in result data. They recommend the ECSL to establish and publish detailed procedures for the tabulation and announcement of results, as well as put in place a robust, transparent, and easily verifiable results processing system well ahead of elections. These all point to past, you know, inefficiencies, if you like, not to Edmund Alpha, but a group of them who were superseding, you know, activities at the commission when we had the 2023 elections. If you ask someone, they'll tell you, oh no, you know what, this man was part of this team. Why appointing now, even though there are transgressions which have not been fixed?
If a 200-year democratic institution is questioned, what would you say?
This was EU.
No, I am saying if a 200-year democratic institution in the United States, the president that sits today is still questioning his loss of 4 years ago, and is still claiming that elections were rigged in the United States, and that his election, he did not lose that election. He lost because the election was rigged. So the point is, you see, I have heard a lot in the room about NEW. Even NEW itself lacks democratic credential.
You think so? This
yes,
is a
I think so.
allegation.
Even NEW itself lacks democratic credential. You know, ask them when was the last time an election was done.
They are not here to respond. So
no, I am saying, I am just saying, when was the last time an election was conducted for the appointment, selection, or election of the head of NEW? You cannot remember. Marcela Samba has been there for as long as God knows since Valnora left. When was the last time you heard about the CSOs, the conglomerate of CSOs? Most of them are dead. We should do an introspection in NEW itself, so as to ascertain whether these bodies that came together to give the democratic mandates of NEW being an observer.
Well, it's not a government body.
No, it's not a government body. But if you are observing elections, you should also put your credentials. If you say he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. If you want to talk about democratic pedigree, you should also put your democratic credentials on the line. Right. So we should see all of these organizations, because I know the current chairman of the deputy chairman of the SLPP had civil society that was part of NEW. The current PRO of the SLPP had a civil society that was part of NEW. Most of the civil societies are dead. So we should also do an introspection of NEW, but that's beside the point. The recommendation made by the EU is saying, it's more or less speaking to the fact that there should be more reforms in our electoral law. We were there when we passed the Public Elections Act. The Public Elections Act is clear as to how elections are tabulated, as to how publications are made, and in what form the Chief Electoral Commissioner should announce results. And he has not deviated in any of that. The APC is calling for disaggregated, yes.
Even when NEW pulled a separate result that was inconsistent with ECSL's?
The mandate of the Constitution it cannot be eroded by an election result from an observer mission. Let's not forget, it's not the EU.
But there are precedents, you know. In the past, NEW had been actually predicting election results. All of them were consistent.
There is a difference.
Why floor them now?
There is a difference between polling, forecasting, and announcing election results. You must get that clear.
But in most cases, it was consistent with what NEC would put out eventually. Why floor them now?
No, it has not been consistent. Let me tell you what happened. I will go back to my own case. Election observers in Lumley, election observers before the election, believed that because historically, the SLPP had never won in Lumley. And the composition of the constituency was clearly showing that I would do well, but I will not win. But at the end of the day, I did not only win, I won by a margin of over 2,633 votes against an incumbent. So election polling officers, forecasters predicted that Donald Trump would be whitewashed by Hillary Clinton. It was also predicted that the election result would be close. These are top-notch election prediction agency. It was also predicted that it would be a tight race between Donald Trump and the former vice president. But it was not. So predictions are not sacrosanct, they are not concrete. Okay. They are only prospections of what you see, the sample that you took. So the sampling cannot give you an outcome that is definite. It is ECSL that has the mandate to announce election. But back to the point, to summarize, I think it is clear that all elections that we've held in Sierra Leone have brought out recommendations to correct errors. There's no perfect situation. I listened to JFK a few days ago on Truth Media. Okay. When he was asked about the election, the recent lower level election, he said there's no perfect election. There's no perfect process. Okay. If the 200-year institutions are grumbling, we are grappling with democracy and we are learning it. And the laws that we make will continue to improve on them. So now that we've learned that it is important that we consider putting election results on the screen, displaying them whilst the tabulation is going on, then we'll try to incorporate that into election architecture. Right. He's here and I'm here and we can push that.
Honorable AKK, I mean, it's becoming a pattern for the All People's Congress, well, the main opposition, to stay out of parliament when serious hearings, are being heard. Particularly so when there is always a strong dissent from your side. Yesterday you did not appear in parliament. You were not part of the screening process, if you like, or the interview of Mr. Alpha. Why? Do you think that was the right call to make?
Before I get to that, let me also make something clear to the Deputy Speaker. We are not only making history as young people. We must set a path we'll be proud of when we'll be referred to. What he's saying today, I am sure, falls below what most of these admirers expect from him. I'm saying this because when he speaks, every moment he speaks, it gives you a clear indication of the problem we have as a nation. But it tries to be very, very much cunning to change the tune, go into the right part of the conversation. Yes, you've admitted. We have the Truth and Reconciliation Commission reports. We have the Edmund Cowan reports. And what you have not said conclusively is, ever since all those white papers were made, there were no attempt of amending the Constitution. We've come so close as a nation. From 1991, this is the first time we're coming so close. So indeed, our point is there has always been a problem. We have identified this as a problem, whether it's on your side as the SLPP, whether it's on our own side as the APC. We know there is a problem. And it's this problem our people are grabbing up with. Secondly, in all of this problem, we've never had an opportunity to sit on a bipartisan approach to solving the problem. In this one, we have already gone that far. We've brought out recommendations. We've agreed on those recommendations. And the ceremony was not done in Mabela. It was not done in Kubola. It was done right before the presidency. How can SLP be so childish to think all that was done before the president, before our donor partners, before international community could just be swept under the carpet? If you go to every international institution today in the world, they tell you Sierra Leone, they are implementing the tripartite they are agreed on. Our institution, our country is being benchmarked, whether by the World Bank, whether by the MCC, by the tripartite recommendations, implementations. Come to think about this, and he ought to know this, and every Sierra Leonean should be worried about this. It was only in the 2023 elections that our credential as a country, our democratic credential as a country, got the worst global condemnation. Are you not worried about that? I am. Are you not worried the fact that all international monitoring group that were in Sierra Leone wrote reports that were damning on our democracy? Are you comparing that to a 200-year-old American democracy? That's a mismatch.
Well,
Please let me learn. That's a total mismatch. What we're here to discuss is there is a problem. And this problem does not start now. And the problem has been identified all this while. And we now have an opportunity to address them. Yes, you were right when you said the electoral cycle does not start in 2028. But has the ECSL been stopped from undertaking any institutional reform, or have they been stopped going forward with their proceedings because Edmond Alpha has not been approved? Are you afraid that the search committee will do a better job to save our democracy? What is the SLPP afraid of?
Honorable AKK, the law is the law, whether it's bad or it's good. Until it is changed, it remains the law. And according to Honorable Tawa, Deputy Speaker, they followed the due process and they've done everything in accordance with the existing laws. In an event where this Edmond Alpha is approved, what will the opposition do? You know,
you have the law. The law is always the law. You're right.
know, sorry, Alima, to interject. I had asked you why you stayed out of Parliament yesterday. Before you answer this, please, because you didn't answer that.
I'll answer that. That is something I'm going to answer. The law is always the law.
Okay.
But besides the law, there is a national interest, which is perhaps better not understood by many people. In a situation where we hang on the balance before the tripartite, after the 2023 elections, we were not talking law. We were talking about safeguarding the national security of our country. We were talking about having peace for the sake of national furtherance. Were there no laws? There were. And in those very moments, we stood as a political parties. We had a political stalemate. Everybody was worried as a nation, because most countries who have gone to that area have not returned back to democracy. Were there no laws? There were laws. But what did we do? We beat those laws. We came together as a nation, and we had a description of a way forward. And that's what we are asking for. Is not, we're not bringing down the moon. We're not asking them to bring us a lion in town. We're just saying, let us stick to what we agreed. And if we come thus far, what are you afraid of is my question.
Well, Honorable, it is obvious that the SLPP are bent on going by the law.
So, if they're bent on going by the law, we're a political party. We've given them 48 hours ultimatum.
About that, what's the status?
Let me answer the question first before you think I am dodging it. As a political party, political parties all over the world have different way of protesting when things are wrong.
Okay.
If you followed the Nigerian parliament recently, there was upheaval. It was almost a public fight. That's their own way of protesting when it was wrong. We're saying, we went to parliament, we went back to governance because we had an agreement. That was a tripartite agreement between us, the government of Sierra Leone, and the international community. That's what brought us to governance. Had it just been by the results announced by the ECSL, we'll have not ever gone to governance. That's for sure. So we expected all what we agreed to be followed. And where there are constitutional amendments to be made, should be done. In fact, there is a timeline for all those implementations. Are they following them up? We just seen a breakdown in what we expected and what was in the agreement we signed. So we're given an ultimatum. If it continues this way, we're going to take our next steps going forward. And this will not be good for our nation. He was celebrating the...
What do you hope to achieve by?
We hope to achieve a situation wherein we put our country's democracy on a better footing. We hope to achieve a situation where we build our history that will be reminded of, that these are the sets of political class that took those very difficult decisions that put Sierra Leone on the map when it comes to democracy. Come to think about this. Do you think the presidents in Kenya who are allowed to have a Shards committee, they don't want an advantage, they do. But do you know why they've created the Shards committee? Because they put the interests of the nation beyond above their political gimmick of leading. What?
Yes, go ahead. Please,
what is happening in Ghana? When you elect an electoral commissioner, a parliament has to go through the process. That is putting nation above self.
Which is what is happening now.
No, it's not. I am talking about the appointments. Here, the president appoints. There, it's not so.
Okay.
So we are saying, all we need to do as a nation, if Tawa goes to opposition today, he must have a confidence that the institutions, the laws we are building now, will protect him. And that assured us of a situation in which our country moves forward. Don't forget, I've always said this, and I'm going to say it again. Our country is not just a fragile democracy, it's a democracy built from the wreckages of the war. Therefore, we must be careful that we don't put our self-interest above national interest.
My question
because
is...
the very issues that led to the 1991 war, we must ensure we run away from them.
Honorable, the question is, what do you hope to achieve? Meaning, beside APC, there are 14 or 15 other political parties, and according to what you guys have discussed this morning, 14 others have approved. 12, right? 12 have already approved Edmund Alpha. They've cleared him. So it's only the All People's Congress, and which other one? All People's Congress, at least we know of the All People's Congress that still has
and even the
issues.
SLPP have not.
We have.
Well, he has answered.
I have not seen that letter out. You know what is interesting?
Is it not obvious?
No letter was put out.
No, let me tell you what is interesting.
No letter
Even
was
when
put
the
out.
letter was written to political parties, you know, the president did not write the letter to the SLPP. I did not see that letter.
No, he wrote the letter to all
let me come.
copying all political parties.
Okay.
And I have not seen the SLP respond to that letter. So the two major political parties have not responded.
No, we have responded.
No, I have not.
No, we have responded.
It's not part of the unlike myself, I am part of the body structure of the APC. I'm the regional secretary. He is not. He was defeated by his own very uncle. So he's not part. He does not have the local standing to speak on behalf of SLPP. With all due respect to him, what I'm saying is, again, this takes us back to the tripartite report. And if you see when the recommendation came out on the constitution, I saw the now chief minister, and all of us echoed the same, that banning political parties because they don't win elections is bad. But some of these things that are unfolding now are the very reasons why the SLPP in opposition wanted a situation wherein we look into the operations of these small political parties. This is why the APC in opposition is also saying we must look at the operations of these small political parties. By structures, we need them. To have dissenting voices, we need them. To speak for people, to speak for citizens, we need them. But to come to think about it, after the 2023 elections, with all that was done, with all our integrity, our elections activities being questioned, I think before we go to the 2028 elections, President Bio being captured as a father of democracy, there is all the need to look at electoral reforms, look at major laws, constitutional reviews that will build our country's integrity. Imagine a country sitting on possibility of getting the MCC being stopped, other international institutions stocking us on just the very things we need to do to put our countries forward through the tripartite, and we still think we should cherry pick. We should be playing political gimmicks on where I am right, where is wrong. I think it is time as Sierra Leoneans, which he was born a Sierra Leonean first. Joining SLPP is a choice. Joining the APC is my choice. But what remains of us is both of us are Sierra Leoneans. And I think we must put up the thinking cap of being a Sierra Leonean and say, hey, at this point, we must do what is right. And what is right for now is the fact that we look at where we went wrong, where we have constitutional reviews to be done.
Okay.
We do them for the sake of our nation and for the sake of our children that are
Tell us about this ultimatum briefly.
We've given 48 hours ultimatum.
Okay.
And we're still hoping the president will rethink
Ultimatum
his decision
for what?
for the withdrawal of the appointment of a
You think it's possible?
Well,
do
everything
that?
is possible in politics.
Okay.
Everything is possible. When you put
But you know,
politics,
this thing is constitutional, isn't it?
every other thing that has been constitutional has also been discussed, not referring to the constitution.
Which is why,
I am
finish
saying,
up. Mhm.
when the nation's interest is at risk, the laws must not be dependent upon. We must also do everything possible to save the image of our country in trying times. I am saying after 2023 to date, our nation has been on the crossroad. Our nation has been referred to its democracy, has been struggling. Every other report you've read, whether you read them as a journalist or you read them as a Sierra Leonean, I am sure you are not proud of the outcome of the 2023 reports being sent either by Carter Center, EU, our local observers, and therefore it is important as a nation where there are no laws when all these wrongs were done, there were laws. Are there needs for us to reform those laws? Yes, there are needs. Are we at the brink of amending those laws? Yes, we are.
Okay.
My question is, do we put our nation first and save our integrity as a nation?
Okay.
Or do we look at my advantage against national security? I will go for national security. I will go for our national inbuilt. I will go for a situation wherein we build our image. I also say every day, don't forget, our democracy was built on the ash of civil war. Therefore, unlike other nations, we must not think always political. We must prioritize the security of our nation above every other thing.
Before hearing from the Deputy Speaker, you see, I would like to ask, is filibustering really working for the APC? Because, I mean, we are now going to start discussing the proposed, amendment to the 1991 Constitution soon, much as, electoral reforms are concerned in that particular legislation. And one thing that struck me particularly was when the Deputy Speaker, during our last conversation, said that he thinks that perhaps during the discussion of that particular bill tabled, the section which introduced the PR, the APC would walk out of Parliament. Is that possible? Would you be walking out?
This is
he told me that just in our last conversation.
This is where I said the aspect of goodwill, the aspect of nationalism, the aspect of sincerity on the part of the SLPPs is becoming, that space they used to have of nationalism is becoming narrow by the minute.
Okay.
Let's imagine that is his thought. Let's imagine that's the thought of the president.
Okay.
Because in the SLPP, everybody thinks on the line of the president. If you see somebody in the attire base speaking for SLPP, the way he thinks and the way he discusses is the way they all think and discuss.
Okay.
You know what is missing in our democracy is the ability to approach ourselves and discuss. Is everybody saying every aspect of the PR is negative? Nobody will say that. Is everybody saying every aspect of the first past the post is positive? Nobody will say that. What is missing in our body politics is a situation where we have political class. We sit and we talk about everything. Everything and anything every other man will talk about.
But will you be walking out?
No, let me come. So as a nation, it beholds us. Even before you talk about legislations, you engage political parties. You've seen, you were in Sierra Leone, you've seen how many times the president then and Escoma will call the opposition to discuss even things that go before parliament, and he discussed with them. What is wrong with our democracy? Are we enemies? No, we are not. If the president has a good proposal and he believes this is good for our nation, what is wrong in saying, okay, can I reach out to the APC? Can we discuss this? Can I know what their fears are on this one?
So you want to be called by the president to discuss this?
Do you know why Tawa at every other day who will support a PI proposal?
Okay, why?
Because after the mistake the people did in Lumley in 2018, that was corrected in 2023, he knows he does not have a political career under a constituency-based elections anymore. That's the same with him. Both my brothers in Western area. So if you talk to Mary Conte, I told Mary Conte the other day, he's a true beneficiary of the PR. My uncle, who was the late father, benefited from the PR in Cambia district. Mary is also benefited from the PR. On the first pastor post in 2018, he lost.
But is PR really bad?
Well, again, I'll say this to you. The PR is not only bad. The PR is taking away the voice of the people. Let me say this.
It's about the threshold, really.
No, it's not. It's not the threshold. It's not the threshold. Let me say this.
Okay.
I'll give it with examples. In Kailaon district, for example, in 2018, it is perceived to be the stronghold of the SLPP. Symbols were awarded by the SLPP.
Okay.
The people were not satisfied. They turned in 2 independent candidates. That is the voice of the people disagreeing with their party. In Cambia, for example, the people had a problem with the APC party.
Okay.
Out of the 6 MPs, they decided to vote in another political party. That is the voice of the people. Had it been a PR system at that time, the NGC would have not returned 4 candidates.
Okay.
No, they would have not. Because the difference between all 3 candidates they've won, and the difference in Tonkolimba, where he's coming from, was almost 10 times the score the NGC had in Cambia, in 57 at the time, and also in Mambolo, because the margin they had was just, some was 500, the other one was just 1,000, and in Tonkolimba we led by almost 18,000 votes. So you see the difference. They will have not returned that amount of MPs. Again, come to Pujeong, when the SLPP sent in a candidate that was not accepted by the people rejected the candidate and voted in an independent candidate. With the PR system, the people will not have the opportunity to go in for an independent candidate. That's one. Secondly, he knows as well as I know well, even under the PR system where I am 001 of Cambia district, it is difficult to access every aspect of Cambia district. Okay. But to show you how much insincere the SLPP is, with all due respect to them, they run their local election, their internal elections on a constituency base. So you have constituency chairman in the SLPP internally, but when it comes to running elections, you say no, we are not going to constituency base. When it comes to elections in the 2023 elections, when there is PR, like the one that was done in 2007, 2002, 1996, it was a block PR. There were 2 types of PR we've used in the past. We have a national PR where seats are awarded by the total percentage you had. We had the district block. It was called a district block because in that PR, every district is considered equal numbers of seats. Let me just land this. Okay. But in the one that passed, this is so much, it was so interesting. ECSL and Statistics CLU told us, oh, okay, we are using a PR. But in this PR, we are allocating 6 seats to Cambia, 16 seats to Kenema. You've apportioned, you've done the division already. So what was critically needed was just, these are the constituencies based on this thing. But it is so much problematic when people think they outsmart. Let me say this.
So I mean, you've been
political outsmartness.
Will you be walking out, Honorable AKK, or not? Huh? I mean, just confirm.
No, I don't believe is correct. I don't believe in the PR because it takes away the power.
Will you be walking out of Parliament as a team, as a group, as a party?
Until we get to that point.
Is it possible? Is it possible given your past history? That you've been walking out of sessions, including yesterday. You didn't attend the session.
No. We have never walked out of a session.
Well, you stayed out of Parliament yesterday.
Let me say this.
It's the same thing when the Parliament began. You didn't go there. It was only the Honourable Bangura who went there, actually.
When you're done, I will answer this question.
No, go ahead. I'm just making reference.
Thank you. We have never reached a point where we walked out of Parliament on issues that are just, we don't play with.
Now understand.
With our national assignment. I am saying we will engage the Parliament, we will engage citizens, we will heighten the citizens' education on the PR, where everything we think is necessary to be done.
I thought they're done with that. That's why they did national consultations.
You know, politics is different from music.
Okay.
Music, you go to the studio, you sing, the album is out.
Okay.
What is left is for you to promote it. In politics, every minute, there is a possibility for a change. I could say this is wrong today. I go again and consider my decision and my stand, and I come again and say, okay, based on A, B, C, D, a day in politics is like a month in normal day. So everything is possible. We'll continue engaging our people. Until the day the final whistle is blown and we go into the world. What is
the reason why I ask that is because, I mean, I just want to know whether you think that would be a prudent way to handle the situation.
There are many options left with us as a party.
Okay, Honourable, we'll be back with you, but let me come to Honourable Tawa. Honourable Tawa, with the All People's Congress Party threatening withdrawal from parliamentary proceedings and local councils, what mechanism is your office, I mean the Speaker's office, putting in place to ensure legislative integrity?
Okay, let me say this. Let me first of all clarify some few things what I said, and some of them are very interesting. I like them. Like he said, they are taking their national duty very seriously, and they don't walk out of Parliament without lightly. They walked out on the president on the occasion of the state opening of Parliament.
With a very sound reason.
When the president is presenting a scorecard of his performance for the previous year and stating his policy actions for the next year, the succeeding year, they've worked out. I have said it, and I will say it again. And President Nkrumah said it when he was in Parliament before he became president, that he did not see in 2012, 27, those that were working out, he did not see most of his friends that were working out of Parliament in the 4th Parliament. It is clear to say that working out is not the solution. Engagement is the best thing to do. They did not attend the appointment interview committee yesterday. I am also encouraging them, if you have a strong views about Edmond Alpha, about his position, about all of those allegations that are in public, that you think the people should know, I think the best place to air those reservations is in the chamber. You go to the Parliament, you speak for the people, speak on behalf of the people you represent, so that the people understand exactly what position you hold on what issue. On the issue of PR that he said, I have said it here in my last interview, that we have been living in PR for a very long time. You're talking about people representing a specific constituency where they are known, where they live, and where they interact. We've not had that, or we've had that, but we've not had that in the strict and sensu sense. The Honourable Chairman Amadama Juba, he has been representing Bookface all his life. He has stayed at Spur Road during that period. He has stayed at Regent for the remainder of that period. The late Honourable Chukwuma Johnson stayed in Lumley. He was representing people in Waterloo. To the extent that my brother, the Honourable Kemoko, he petitioned at ECSL that residency should form part of the criteria for somebody to represent a particular constituency. Then it was the constituency-based system. Yeah. Honourable Salima Tutuye, my own honourable, when she won the election in constituency 112 in Lumley, she moved to Tengbe Town. She stayed in Tengbe Town throughout her period. The Honourable Timbo contested in Moritown. He stayed in Lumley. So these are all classic issues of showing that the first past the post system is only used in a way to divide people. but it does not meet the core requirements of those of us that are elected to go represent people. We are not in parliament to do development. So if you have one person representing Moritown and you're staying in Moritown, now you have 16 people representing between Godrich and Owogu. If you are in Owogu, if you see me, I go to Owogu on a football match or an engagement at Owogu, you have the liberty to come and tell me what the issues are. Because I have the right to speak for and on behalf of you. Because that is what section 97 says. Paragraph B says, members of parliament are considered representatives of the people of Sierra Leone. So, us tying this thing to constituency, I think it's wrong. And also, it's about the APC moving away from the maximalist position they have. That it is only when they say it should happen. Yeah? If you believe in engagement, like he said, our democracy was born out of the wreckage of the war. Out of the wreckage of that war, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission recommended that we should move away from one man, one fight election, first past the post. The Peter Tucker Constitutional Review recommendation says we should move away from one man, one fight because it is not bringing, it is enlarging the division between and among us as citizens. The Cowan Constitution, in fact, they drafted the provision to amend section 74.1 that it is not helping us. But you shelve all of that and believe that because this is your position, this is how it should work. So even when we are going to continue to engage, they must engage in good faith. We must engage in good faith. We must understand that nothing takes away the president's power under section 53, his executive power. The Supreme Court has ruled on that. It's the supreme executive authority of this country. And it cannot wait because of the convenience of anybody. Like he says, laws coming to parliament are proposals. Those proposals can come and they will go out to the president in a different form and in a different shape. So who says that the recommendation for a search committee can be passed by parliament? It cannot. Maybe. So will the president wait until parliament sees that proposal and say, oh, we do not accept because a recommendation was put out in the CRC and a white paper was put out by a government, the government that precedes you, that say we should retain 32.3 and we are retaining 32.3. And even when we want to, even if we say, SLPP says today, that we are going to retain everything that is in the SBC white paper, they will still have reasons to say, oh no, times have changed. This is what we want now. And you cannot negotiate in a maximalist position. They have to change their stance.
What if they are out of options? Perhaps they think the ruling is muzzling them.
No, you cannot be out of options.
Option.
You have to put all the options on the table.
Okay.
And it is not only your option that will be acceptable. For example, in the tripartite, they recommended a certain percentage, a threshold, for the election of president. Yeah. The white paper and the CRC recommendation was 50+1. The white paper says more than 50%. And in their constitution of more than 50%, they've put together 20% in half of the district in Sierra Leone. The Attorney General, looking at the other options on the table, that is the option of the Constitution. The Constitution in 1991 Constitution, anything that requires mandates for execution requires 2/3, including alteration in the Constitution. So the Attorney General, looking at it, says, okay, let's move it to 20% instead of 25% in half of the districts. Let's move to 20% in 2/3. But if you say we have to stick to 25% and half, then you're not negotiating in good faith. Because in negotiation, it is give and take. So I would say their position, like I have said in the last program, their position to walk out as their first option, they should change it.
So what modalities has your office put in place to ensure that you still maintain legislative integrity, even if they'll be walking out as they threatened? They've already given you 48 hours ultimatum. How many hours you mean?
It's like 2 hours.
2 hours.
Like 2 hours.
So what modalities do you have in place?
We'll continue to engage. Like he says, we are talking. We talk every day. We discuss virtually everything. We speak with each other. We engage at different levels. There are other channels. There are other mediation channels that we are using, because there are things that I may not want to confront him directly to say. And there are things that he may not want to confront me directly to say. So there are channels that we are using, both in parliament, at the national level, at the political party level. We are using various channels to ensure that we see reasons as to why they, as the APC, should believe in the white paper that was put out by the APC for the first time. We are asking them to do that. Because in that white paper, it was clearly stated by the government that 32(3) should be retained. Let us focus on the content and the fact that the GONOM is being followed, and we come and assess the individual in public. So if there are any hidden agenda in his mind, he will know that the public knows that I have been addressed in public by all parties as to what should be my behavior in this public office. I think that is the best way to go. But we'll continue to engage so that we'll maintain the legislative integrity of Sierra Leone.
Honorable AKK, in an event wherein your ultimatum is not countenanced,
we are a political party and we have many options.
What are the options?
Level 3.
We'll communicate.
Level 3.
But let me say this. You know, there are many things in the Peter Tucker Constitution, and there are many recommendations by the then government, one of which was to separate the office of the Attorney General and that of the Minister of Justice. And the recommendations were so many. And the sincerity in what we do, we cherry pick what we think is in our favor. It's not good for our democracy, and it's not good for our governance integrity. So we are saying this again, that what he was talking about is a situation in which we have laws, the 32 section 32 of the Constitution, that was asked to stay in 2018. For God's sake, had they been just sincere to themselves? We went again into agreement, and no other person was in the room. It was just us and them and the international partners, 3 parties. We all agree again that this was a problem. Why don't you just say at that time, oh no, this was in the white paper and the government that passed said, no, this is how they are going to deal with this. Why do you have to wait at a time like this to come out and say, oh, it was recommended, oh, the APC said no? That's not sincerity.
Well, come to think of it, this is a tripartite agreement, 3 parties to it. You have the SLPP, the APC, and of course the international community. When you have these issues where you can't agree as political parties, the APC and the SLPP, how does the international community come in?
We, as I said, I don't want to preempt.
Because they are a party to this agreement.
I don't want to preempt our next line of action. What we've done is we've given our ultimatum. What comes after the ultimatum will also come out to discuss, to let the people of Sierra Leone know. Is
this a case for the APC? Is this a case of because clearly since 2023 the APC has been crying that the elections was rigged, some say it was stolen and the like. Is it a case of once bitten twice shy situation?
Every Sierra Leonean, including yourself, who limits our current concerns to just the APC, is making the biggest mistake in our history. I've taken my time.
Well, that's how most people say it.
And that's why I'm saying they are making the biggest mistake, including yourself if you think that way.
Well, I'm not speaking for myself.
let me just land this.
Okay.
I am saying this because we have an opportunity. I am sure if anybody here is above 45, that person must be you. And in this situation,
God forbid.
So no, I'm using my Michael's. When you watch Michael over and over,
yeah. So you know you get the you get the vibe.
Find ourselves these days. We have an opportunity to build a Sierra Leone that works for us.
Okay.
So therefore, we must also not just speak as politicians. We must also hear those very fine Sierra Leoneans who have, well, in quotes, integrity that is respected by society.
Right.
To speak up at a time like this, for us to fix our nation. It's a time to fix our nation, and the time is now.
Okay.
Let's don't leave this burden on our children. Let us fix our nation and ensure this nation works for us. When we retire, I've always said this, let it work for our children, when they decide to take our footsteps, and we ensure we don't celebrate our victory today at the expense of national security.
Right.
That has always been my word.
Okay, we're bringing a third voice to the conversation this morning. A CSO, Solomon Sundu, is in Studio 2. And just so we begin to preface our conversation this morning, I understand, I mean, the crucialness, if you like, of this particular topic. But
reality.
Before we begin, let me hear from you, from your perspective. What are your views around the candidacy of Mr. Alpha?
Thank you very much. I've listened to the two representation here, or the representatives, the honorable speaker, deputy speaker, and the other honorable AKK. I just want to call the attention of representation when you talk about section 97, which speak about representation. When we vote them, when they go to that parliament, they are there to represent us, and they are there to pass law. They know all the section. I think it's section 105 to make law, and you talk about oversight. I just want to speak to their conscience that if they are there in that parliament, we rely on them to do the needful. For the appointment of Edmund Alpha, I think we have the 1991 constitution in place. We are not in junta rule. We are in democratic.
Let me just guide a bit. I mean, Solomon. So I was referring to the character and texture of the personality that is being appointed. I mean, a lot of dispute around him, a tsunami of allegations that, I mean, in the past he had meddled in some sort of malfeasances, if you like to call them, within the ECSL. I mean, the allegations have gone back to the 2023 elections, in the EU reports they put out, and even a constituency election that was held quite recently. So these are the allegations. While the APC sees this man as unfit, the SLPP thinks he's the right man for the job. What do you think is what I'm asking?
Well, I want to speak towards the appointment. Yes, further, the constitution gives the right to the president to appoint at this time, or why
Do you see anything bad or wrong with his candidacy if he's the right man?
Yes.
I mean, I will speak to his character, really. It's not about the law. Legality is here, and I mean, the president was right to have appointed him. I mean, it's constitutional, really. We're not disputing the infero domestico in any way. We are talking about, being fit for the office. Is what we are discussing. Character and texture running into the 2028 elections.
When you look at, Edmond, as far, experience over the years, he has worked in that commission for over 23 years.
Okay.
I stand to be corrected, or more.
Okay.
But let's look at his professionalism. For me, he has served in different capacity. At once, this same Edmond Alpha was in the position of national officer of the ECSL, and we know what happened exactly in 2007, right? So for me, I will not be a spokesperson here, but let the parliament, that is what I'm saying. If it pleases the president to appoint him, it behoves the parliament to do what we call scrutiny. That's their job. That's what we are expecting them for. He's a Sierra Leonean. By qualification, nobody will say Edmond Alpha is not qualified. By character, it behoves the parliament now to scrutinize Edmond Alpha. They can say yes, it's fit or it's not fit. The president can appoint. But if the parliament refuses Edmond Alpha, then they can go back to the drawing board. But as it is, it behoves the parliament to look at Edmond Alpha character, qualifications, and whether it's fit for that position. But if now the contention here asking, the opposition that, they are afraid of Edmond Alpha due to other reasons, I will say their boycotting makes for me no sense. It does not speak of representation. We are paying them out of our taxpayers' money. If you look at, when I speak about, 97, let them go to that parliament, discuss the issues. It will be in records for history's sake. They will say, yes, we've said this, X, Y, and Z. But let's go back to history. We have seen where, ruling party have appointed electoral commissions. At the end of the day, you understand, what happened? Like in the area of Christian Atop. Who appointed Christian Atop? It's under the SLPP. APC won elections. We saw again, APC appointed, was it Alpha, this other person who was there, how do you call him? Pali,
the AYV.
SLPP won the election. So let's look at the interests of the people. Let them go there and scrutinize this individual, whether it's fit for the purpose.
Away from Mr. Alpha's character, let's talk about timing. I mean, a while ago, Lawyer Society had, published a press release where they questioned the timing of this whole, thing. They're saying that, given that the state has already tabled, an amendment, abrogation to the 1991 Constitution, sections dealing with the elections, which creates, perhaps, if it comes to law, the Search and Nomination Committee, the president should have waited. What are your views?
For me,
is the president rushing or not?
Well, I don't want to use the word rush.
Okay. What would you use in place of rush?
So let's look at the electoral circle. We all knew in this country, when you talk about electoral laws, the law should not exceed more than 1 year, and there are so many things to deal with in that commission. When you talk about it, for example, let's go back to the 2022 electoral bill, which was laid in Parliament.
Okay.
Somebody has to be on top of the situation. Somebody has to chair. Somebody has to lead that process. So if we say this man is going to be in the acting position, for the opposition, I know, perhaps the individual, they will still speak of issues that related to procedural issues.
Okay.
That is my thought. So let's respect the ground norm, which is the Constitution, that gives the president the power to appoint, and left to the parliament to scrutinize the individual, whether it's fit or not. But in the area of rush, we are not in the junta. We are still using this 1991 Constitution. It's on process until we find the amendments being working. But as it now, we don't know when this amendment will take place or when they will finish the amendment. Yes,
I know you're not a lawyer, but I mean, I've spoken to legal luminaries, both from the ruling and the opposition. I mean, the arguments are diverse, actually. Some support the president's will to appoint Mr. Alpha. Others say, oh no, you know what? Given the fact that there is a tripartite document which led to the amendment of this particular section of the Constitution, then, I mean, well, in Latin they say it's malafide, it's ill-fated, more or less, if you like, to have, gone to the stage where we are at now. Why not wait for the particular legislation to be tabled, discussed, and enacted, and then we can proceed from there? People are questioning the efficacy, if you like, of the Search and Nomination Committee if at all this law is passed eventually. Wouldn't it be redundant? What are your views?
Which is good for us to have, constitutional review, electoral review, and this is our call. All this why. When you look at the two parties, you talk about the SLPP, they have been crying foul. Okay. Right? Now the APC is also crying foul. So if we have all agreed to do review, right? And now the amendment is before Parliament. But the time, we don't know the time. They are still asking for.
What time are you referring to? As to when this particular legislation will be?
Exactly. When this amendment will take place. And we are envisaging.
You mean the enactment of this particular bill?
Exactly. And we are envisaging 2028 elections.
But the Deputy Speaker is here. He has enormous authority in that well. He had told us here that everything will end by April, give and take.
Well,
except if the APC filibustered.
Well, that's the caveat there. So for us, let's look at the legitimacy of the appointment. If the appointment is legitimate from the president, so what am I emphasizing on?
Solomon, we are not, as I said earlier, just to fix the context around our discussion, we are not arguing the legitimacy of the appointment, Solomon. Let's be guided.
Yes.
We had read the law itself, and what it states, that the president has the power to do this. Right. We are not disputing the infra domestico in any way. It is the overarching law of our country. What we are discussing are the circumstances around all what is happening at the moment. That's what we are discussing.
So yes, so let's
some people have said that if at all this law is passed eventually and this man had been appointed, then the Search and Nomination Committee would go redundant. It would have no use.
But the law will continue to work.
Okay.
It's the Constitution, the law will continue to work.
So that's your argument.
For other future appointments, comes in the Search and Nomination Committee will work. Okay. But as it is, the Constitution remains the same. That is the point I'm making.
Okay.
So these are the area the honorable member, of the other side, like the APC, should look at. If whether this Constitution is still in force or not. exactly suspend the constitution, then we can talk for something else.
You've also questioned the fact that they walked out of parliament yesterday. They shouldn't have done it. Is that what you're saying?
For me, I condemn when you talk about walked out of parliament or boycotts in parliament, that's not the people's representative.
Okay.
And I heard the honourable member saying, let's put the country's interests first.
Okay.
Mark you, when we elect them, they are not just representing their districts, whether it's Cambia or Lumley or Western Oba or Western Wall or whatever you're talking about.
Okay.
When we elect them, they are representing the people of Sierra Leone.
Okay.
That is the point I'm making. So walk out, for me, let them engage, the executive or, engage their colleagues as to how they can fine-tune, you understand, the approval of Edmund Alpha, whether it's fit for purpose. But walk out is not the solution for me in this case.
All right. Let's hear from Honorable AKK. Sundu has clearly actually, flagrantly said that, what you did yesterday was wrong. Given that you were appointed to represent the people, what are your views around this?
I wish that would have not been.
We want to go for some comments, but please respond briefly.
I wish that would have not been your first question. When I listen to Sundu, I now know the conversation is scripted.
Okay.
It speaks exactly what the deputy speaker said. So at a point when he was even speaking, I was looking at something else because I know all he's saying is what the deputy speaker said.
Okay.
What he said is not different from what any other person in the SLPP have said before now.
You are following my good governance. And before this time, I put out a piece which advised honorable members not to boycott, represent us in the faithful manner, discuss issues, whether it is wrong or
that
right.
is not how
that
this
should be in the
conversation.
history. I'm not speaking for
I'm
speaking for the people of Sierra Leone.
You have an
we are
opportunity.
paying you out of our taxpayers' money, and we are saying represent us. That's the fairness I'm giving you. Nothing else.
You have an opportunity to share a panel with members of parliament, senior members of parliament at that. This is not how conversations are done in parliament. Please, you spoke and nobody interrupted you. Please allow me to speak on this. I am saying the conversation is scripted. And how he spoke, all the question he asked, if you have your time after the program, listen to what the deputy speaker said and listen to what Sundu said. They were speaking from the same hymn now. This is where we start to question the integrity of institutions like civil society institutions. This is why our democracy is becoming, the internal moral guarantors of our democracies are being questioned and being perceived as players of corrupt inclinations. How can you tell us here, seated this morning, and you claim to be a civil society organization, and you say the constitution is in force? Nobody has told you the 1991 constitution is not in force. What the conversation is a situation of us agreeing that the 2023 election was faulty. You also allude to the fact, just like the deputy speaker, that before now there have been complaints from the SLPP and the APC, and it behoves you as a moral guarantor of both our peace and our democracy to come out clear and speak on behalf of the people who are voiceless to say.
And that is what I'm doing. And that is what I'm doing.
It's not a hard and fast rule. It's not a hard and fast rule for CSOs to align with your position always.
So if it's asking to tell you, that's what I'm telling you.
Are you asking me or are you asking me?
I'm actually speaking to you.
It's not allow us to have a conversation.
It's not a hard and fast rule for CSOs to always align with your position.
Exactly. How can I be aligned with you?
I am not saying he has aligned himself or it's a crime to align yourself with political parties.
Okay.
He is a Sierra Leonean and he votes. What I am saying is, when I listen to him, I listen to a scripted conversation. I listen to a dictation and spelling kind of conversation. And I am saying, since this morning, I have not cited any aspect of whether the Constitution, not because there are no problems with the Constitution, I have cited situations where the Constitution has issues, right, where we need to solve these issues, and where we need to progress as a nation.
Right.
It is his moral right. I'm taking my time to use words that will not personally attack him, but
right,
the truth is he's saying we must do our job.
Okay.
Again, he needs to know Because being a civil society does not just mean you are being called. You must also have the power to reshaft.
Right.
In other democracy, not just in Sierra Leone. Political parties, whether staying off parliament, walk off parliament, agitating in the world of parliament, are all part of democracy. Right. And there are various means to express dissatisfaction over certain things that are going on. Right. For us, we believe we must correct what has been an old age problem. Okay. An old age problem has been the consultation clause, which we both agree has been a problem. Our old age problem is the power of the president appointing the electoral commissioner, which is a one-sided thing, and we agreed in the tripartite to have a shout committee. And remember this, Sundu, in everything we do, let us don't put our interest, what we benefit from politicians sometimes.
And that is the point I'm making.
We're about to read some messages. I mean, we're out of time.
And that's the point I'm making, Honorable AKK.
Our Facebook page. Victor Calon is saying, waiting is not a justified argument by our lawyers. Lawyers should talk about the Constitution. The argument on waiting is a political argument. Mystic from Dozak is saying we need a deep consultation in our political space, especially the implementation of the tripartite report, which should be fully implemented for us to maintain standards in our democratic process. For as long as the 1991 Constitution is in use, the President has 101% power, Kenneth Karimu. And going further, this person is saying that AKK, the Kailao people believe in delivery, not parties. That is the beauty you can't find in that part of the country, which you will never get from the north. APC and SLPP just care about their party, but never advocate for the development of this country. I blame KKY, Evangelist Solomon Kenkagbo, saying there. Honorable, are you talking of Qatar Center that financed the APC election in 2023? I'm the national PRO. The SLP have responded to the president regarding the nomination of the ECSL chairman in response to what you said earlier. The Lolo Gasparini is saying the commissioner that was in charge of that Kabbalah election was Paul Damba. Edmond Alpha was not in charge of that Kabbalah election. Edmond Alpha was commissioner for East. Members of the nation, let us think and put Salon first. Politics must be the tool to develop the country. Our president need to take action. Oh no, this is not relevant to this discussion. When you talk about how the government supposed to use the money, some party, no. Let me just, can AKK tell us which CSO he likes? The first CSO will be Lawyer Society, because Lawyer Society is speaking exactly APC views. And these are just few of the messages. I mean, briefly, just to respond, Honorable, I'll start with you to close off this morning.
Well, I would say, you know, in use of English, there is a particular subject. It's called line of reason. So in line of reason, there is always a possibility that if you are on the right track, you will end up having the same. You will end up having the same thoughts at a particular point in time. But you know, I recall I was listening to Sundu being interviewed by somebody. Okay. I think it was on 98.1, and I was actually, this is the honest facts. Okay. I was actually thinking, who is Sundu? I don't know him. So when he said Solomon Sundu, you see, I changed my position. I was looking at him. I said, oh, really, this is Sundu. So I've never met him. Okay. That's the fact. I've never met him. I have not known him beyond today. Okay. But the point is, you see, I said something before the Honorable intervened, that the APC has to move, they certainly have to move beyond the maximalist position of negotiation. That is what you say is what will happen. Okay. If you continue to insist that time should determine the exercise of the authority of the president, when he knows that a bill before parliament, like I assured you I think last week, that all things being equal, we should be able to pass that bill if they do not work out, we should be able to pass that bill by April.
Yeah.
But he knows that if we go beyond April, June, Parliament, the next session of Parliament starts in July. The president will come. It's July, August. It's the same. Mostly in July, we don't sit.
It's not the same.
Mostly in July, we don't sit because of the rains. Our sitting is intermittent. It's not regular. Yeah. So if you take the rains off, then it means by August, first week August, the president will come to prorogue Parliament and open the start of a new session, which means the proposal before Parliament would have been redundant by the standing orders.
Okay.
So they would have to start the process all over. So there is no assurance from this posture that we'll be able to go through this exercise.
Nice.
I would continue to encourage them that the right place to make all of this. I know, even with this position of the ECSL chairman, they do not agree with himself, he does not agree with his party.
Okay.
But he does not have option. I know he does not agree with his party. I'm not telling me nothing, I just talk generally. But I know that most of them do not agree with the party, but it is the albatross that is hanging around the neck of members of parliament of 77.1K. That's the more reason why we need PR. And to reduce the threshold from 11.5 to maybe 5.5 or 6%. So that a lot of Sierra Leoneans with independent mind would venture into politics in certain districts and be able to achieve the threshold of 5.5 or 6% to come to parliament. So we have at least 30-40 independent-minded people that do not have the albatross of 77.1K around their neck that will speak to issues of national interest. But as it is now, he's not speaking his mind. He's speaking the ultimatum. I think there is less than 2 hours more to the ultimatum. And I don't want the ultimatum to expire because it's my brother. If he's not in parliament, I feel lonely.
You know, I like the way it tries to explain Sundu's.
But isn't he your brother?
No, in fact, we've gone beyond being just brothers, and we, you know, are the most difficult part of his parliamentary voice when many people could not speak for him.
Okay.
I took the media because he knows, and many Sierra Leoneans know I can speak on things irrespective of what other people believe. I am not being dragged. I am not being dragged by what other people believe.
Okay.
And again, I have made this clear that unlike him, he does not have the opportunity. He already has the opportunity of sitting at neck based on his position. But I am part of a party structure, and when our party take decision, we are almost at the immediate top of those decisions. So whatever you see out now, where it was not forced on us, was a decision we take, and we took that decision on a platform of wise decisions. And I want to say this, let me end with this, that it was talking about the timeline in the Constitution. You know, I started this morning with saying the word sincerity. When yesterday, on Tuesday, they laid 10 agreements. I doubt it if up to 5% of that parliament could read all those 10 agreements, but they were passed on Wednesday, which is a non-sitting day. So if he's saying he's outlining the timelines of parliament up to August, and he's saying the possibility of this law extending because of the timeline, that again is questionable. If we want, if at all sincerity is the hallmark of all of this conversation, from the time that constitution came, the first reading was done, to now, we've had like 4 or 5 sittings. We'll have done the second reading. What will stop us? We have the powers as parliament to regulate ourselves, and for the sake of
we cannot regulate ourselves against 2 thoughts.
No, let me come. No, I'm not saying 2 thoughts. I'm talking about
that is the requirement.
No, I am talking about the process. If it beholds us to come to parliament on a Saturday and a Sunday for this law, you understand? If parliamentary calendar time is a new excuse, we can come. We've been in that parliament on, was it the COI or something else we were passing?
The COI.
We were there till 1 o'clock at night. We debated it. We were there on the issue of the Electoral Act, so consecutively like 3 days. And we were there up to like 11 o'clock at night. But let me end with this. For Sundu and his cohorts who guides themselves in the name of civil society, I asked myself, when last did they, as so-called civil society organization, interface with political parties on their thoughts? what we expect of them is not just most times being invited to come to the media and give their thoughts. You can have a consortium of civil society organization who believes they are not reading from a playbook, as I have seen this morning.
We are working with you guys. We are in
Right.
parliament.
No, I'm not talking about being in parliament. Being in parliament is different from engaging political parties.
Right.
If you believe in what you believe like this, instead of coming out to repeat all what the deputy speaker have said this morning, you will.
The speaker said he doesn't know him.
No, I don't know, to be honest.
Let me say this. I don't need to know everybody that is my brother in my party.
Okay.
And with the current executive of the SLPP full with members of who are so-called civil society,
Okay.
you question every other person that speaks like them to be one.
All right, Sudu, let's hear from your parting statement.
I don't know.
I don't want to follow. I don't want to follow suit with my brother there. They are all my brothers. Let me speak to that. But what am I saying here? To be very honest, I'm encouraging them. Let them engage. You know, this modern days democracy, we are talking about dialogue. Dialogue is the best solution. Let's look at the facts. That's what I was building up. So if we have these constitutional amendments, but as the Honorable Speaker said, if time permit them, perhaps they will amend the bill itself.
Right.
But let's
Who wants to
say,
amend this?
right,
Right.
if there is no time
wants to
for
amend
that,
this?
why can't they engage with the executive, speak to colleagues about issues?
Right.
As I mentioned, we have seen where political parties or the ruling party appointed somebody, then at the end of the day, they lost election. So it's not about the question of appointing somebody. Let's talk about the credibility and how processes or systems and processes can work. We're talking about our electoral reforms. How do we manage electoral laws? How do we manage systems? How do we really, do things to switch up? To switch with other international elections.
Right.
That is my call. So for me, I will encourage them to go to Parliament, discuss the issues, engage, and bring up the fact. It will be in history.
I want to thank you very much indeed, Solomon Sundu, the Honorable AKK, Honorable Tawa, Deputy Speaker, for being here this morning. Truly enlightened the conversation indeed. It's left with you now. The bulk of the work is with you at Parliament, whether you agree or disagree. If you continue to drag on, it will also, compound the problem, I feel. Honorable Tawa is afraid that you walk out of Parliament. I hope it doesn't get to that though.
Until we get to that level where they'll do what is not right, I want to assure Sierra Leoneans we're lawmakers, and sometimes, again, let me end with this part in short. Sometimes, as opposition, you don't win decisions,
Right.
but you win the moral conscience of the people, and the people who even make the wrong laws will speak to it that we are warned.
Right.
And that's why we want to be.
And that is why you need to withdraw these particular press statements and go to Parliament tomorrow, so that we
Wait,
discuss
This is where we'll end today's edition of the program. Wake Up.
So, Honorable, are you
It's been
pleading with
quite,
them?
An interactive session. I want to say thank you very much indeed to our sponsors, Rokel Commercial Bank, and for their support to this program, and to you, our valued audiences, for waking up every morning to watch our program. My name is Victor Jones.
And I am Alimata Judge. Continue to stay tuned to AYV throughout today as we have other exciting programs coming up. Till we meet for another interesting edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone, take care of yourself.